Hi everyone, welcome to session 8 of ServiceNow CIS IRM preparation. So the previous videos we have seen until policy compliance configuration. So we'll continue on that. So next is entity type and entities. It has M2M relationship with risk statement, which is SN risk definition, which has one-to-many relationship with risk. And then there is M2M with control objective for entity type, which is SN compliance policy statement, and it has M2M with indicator templates, SNGRC indicator templates, and then one-to-M with indicators. Right? Then there is one-to-M with controls and control attestations, and the assessment instance, and then issues. Right? It's about that. So control table is primary table where most of daily compliance work happens. Control must be related to entity. Entity can be scoped with multiple controls, which means entity can have many controls. On a control record, entity is a reference, so it is like one entity for a control. Issues, control attestation, risks provide supporting documentation about control. Controls can be related to multiple issues, control attestations, and risks. So three things: issues, control attestation, and risks are the three tables which provide three record types which provide supporting documentation about control. Then we have control objective to control objective. It's M2M table, SN compliance, M2M policy statement, STMT. Control objective to citation, SN compliance, M2M statement citation. Control objective to entity type, SN compliance, M2M statement profile type. Control objective to indicator type template, SN GRC, M2M IND temp count. Then we have this various script includes. We'll review them. First one is assessment strategy. So let's go to script includes. System definition script includes. Make a favorite for future. Let's go here. Name is equal to assessment strategy. It is in GRC profile compliance management scope. So the API name is SN underscore compliance dot assessment strategy. And if you see here, it is extending assessment strategy base. So let's open that. Again, the idea behind this is if you want to override any of the functionality which is coming out of the box, then you will do it in this assessment strategy script include. And this is a base script include. For that, we generally don't touch this because this is shipped out of the box. So now if you look at this one here, it has like 280 lines of code, but we can quickly go around look at this. So the first one is associate record to metric type. That's the first one. And then it is taking input as table, metric type ID, statement ID, profile fields. Then you have update compliance status. Then it is calling an internal function, which is this one also here. So it is taking assessment ID as input, and then it is trying to get all the questionnaire and then get all the root questions, and it is trying to set the assessment record ID and so on. Right. So basically, this is your main script include for assessment updates, control assessment updates. So which is why it is talking to tables such as compliance control. So we can see what are the different tables which are used. I think that's a good way to understand the script include. So one is SN compliance control. The next is compliance M2M statement citation, which is citations and compliance. So policy statement to citation M2M, that is that. And then next we have assessment instance question table, then assessment instance questions table, then SN compliance assessment. So basically for let me just look at this one. Show data maybe. So this is control objective to assessment metric mapping. Then we have entities, which is GRC profile. Then we have again control table, and then we have assessment instance question table, then GRC issues, and then it is also looking at vendor risk assessment, assessment metric, assessment template definition, assessment metric definition, and so on, right? So basically it is touching tables in the scope of assessment, vendor risk management, entities, and then relationship between control objective and assessment metric and so on. So these are all the different tables which are in scope of this script include. Next, we'll move on. The next script include is policy acknowledgement util. So again, the main purpose is when we run this policy acknowledgement campaign, this script include will come into play. So again, the structure is very similar. If you have so script include name is policy acknowledgement, not plural. So this is the one. I'm just gonna look at this one now. Name is equal to script include, and there's also in GRC policy compliance management scope. So S underscore compliance, and as you can see here, let me change my scope this so you can see it properly. GRC policy compliance management, and as you can see, again, this is extending a table called policy acknowledgement utils base. Right? Same approach, like the parent table is the parent class is like out of the box and we don't touch it. But if you want to extend any functionality, that is done here. And if you look at this definition, you can see that again, we'll take the same approach. We'll look at CLAD records. So it is looking at SN compliance policy. So policy table, and then it's looking at acknowledgement instance, and then policy exception, then audience user group, audience user, then audience filter, again, compliance acknowledgement, compliance policy acknowledgement, compliance policy acknowledgement, then policy acknowledgement instance, policy acknowledgement instance, again, policy acknowledgement instance, and then audience user, and okay, I think the best way is if we just take this and drop it in a notepad and look for new GLAD record. Yeah, this is policy acknowledgement instance and policy exception, audience user group, audience filter, policy acknowledgement, compliance user, compliance acknowledgement, policy acknowledgement, policy acknowledgement again, acknowledgement instance, acknowledgement instance, acknowledgement instance, acknowledgement instance. Then there's M2M with audience user group, member, audience filter, user group, and policy acknowledgement instance, and so on, right? So I'm looking at any like the different tables which are used by this script include, so we understand what it is doing. So basically, it is trying to look at policy acknowledgement instances, and then it's trying to map users, and then there is a mapping between acknowledgement to the users and groups through M2M, all of that. So all that is coming into play. And there is acknowledgement campaign reminder, which is also system property. There is again policy acknowledgement, acknowledgement instance, and then acknowledgement again. And there is policy exception itself, and exception instance, policy acknowledgement, and acknowledgement. So basically, these are the main tables which are used, and that is what is driving this script include. Next one is compliance utils. So let's look at that. Same here, compliance utils is the child class or the child script include, and then it extends the base script include. Yeah, this is this one here. As we open the definition, you can see here that let's see how many glide records are there here. Same approach, right? And Control F, glide record. So you have 23 of them, and they are compliance to policy statement, policy statement, policy statement, compliance policy, configuration control, and then there is, let's look at this table. Just want to see what this table is. So control object to do configuration controls. So that is that. Uh, and then we have SN VULC testing. That is that. Then we have IRM shared CM document version. Then GRC indicator result, compliance control, compliance control, compliance control, compliance control, compliance control. And there is issue item. Then there is compliance control, compliance control, GRC issue. And we have M2M issue item, policy statement, compliance, policy statement. And okay, that's yeah, that's that, right? So basically, these are the different tables. So basically, issue is one table I've seen, and then that relationship to the control, and then the compliance control records and the compliance like the control objective table, all of that. So that's what is used in this scripting group. Let's move to the next one, which is your control generator strategy. So if I go back here, so let's directly go to the base one. So here we have, just going to take this and copy into Notepad. And we can see that 13 glide records are used. So first one is policy statement and policy statement type, basically entity type to policy statement, that M2M, and policy statement again, policy statement, M2M, policy statement. So this is mainly used to create controls based on entity type and policy statement relationship, or M2M mapping. That's the purpose of the script include. Let's move on. Next, we have compliance score calculator. And same thing, we have compliance score calculator base and compliance score calculator. Let's open the base one. And then let's copy the script. And here we can see that there are 30 occurrences of glide record. Again, compliance score, and then there is profile type, policy, and citation, statement to citation, compliance citation, policy statement, policy to policy statement, policy statement to profile type. Then we have compliance score, policy statement, policy citation. So basically, this is used to roll up the control compliance score. So we can see that we are looking at tables such as controls, and then entities, and then authority documents, and citations, and so on, and then the different M2M tables that map them, so that we can roll up the compliance score from one level to other, like for example from controls to entity, and then from there, if there is an entity hierarchy, then within that layer, and then at the same time from controls to control objective, and then control objective hierarchy, and then from there all the way to citations, authority documents, all of that. So that's the purpose of this, is to roll up the control compliance core, right? That's that. Next, we talk about policy record lifecycle. Starts with draft, review, awaiting approval, published, retired. So let's look at one policy record. Policy, policies. Yeah. Okay. So we'll continue with this topic in the next video. This is already 15 minutes. So stopping.